All right, we will go ahead and kick it off this afternoon with Kyle Hamilton. Kyle, your first question will be from John Finneran.
Hi, Kyle. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the growth of the secondary this season, how it's come together and meshed, and what will it be like going up against Trevor Lawrence? What does he bring to the game this Saturday that Clemson didn't have on November 7th?
I think the secondary has grown a lot this year as a unit and each person individually. A guy like Nick coming in and gelling so fast and making a big impact right away. A guy like Clarence, kind of in the complete opposite position. He is his first year. He came in. He's making an impact right now too. So I feel like everybody's progressing as an individual, and we're gelling as a group, and we've gotten a lot closer. In terms of Clemson, I think second time around it's going to be a lot harder. It's hard to beat a good team twice. Everybody knows that, especially with them getting their quarterback back. But I think if we all buy into the game plan and all believe in our abilities, I think we'll have a great performance.
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Kyle, a couple of questions. One, just a little bit more on Lawrence versus Uiagalelei. Does Lawrence sort of stretch a defense in different ways than Uiagalelei does? And then the other question was Terry Joseph and sort of his impact on your development, whether that be getting into film study more, just what has he done for you in your 2 years here?
Start off with the first question. I think the freshman quarterback, he'd start pretty much everywhere else in the country. He's a really good quarterback. His time is coming. Everybody knows that. And I think they both kind of complemented each other's games very well. I feel like they didn't drop off one bit with him in the game rather than Trevor. But obviously the experience that Trevor brings and the confidence that he puts in his teammates around him when he's on the field, that's going to make a big impact on the game this weekend. In terms of my coaches and Coach Joseph in particular, I think that they've had a large impact on me just as a student of the game. I came in my freshman year just kind of blindsided by a bunch of information, but they kind of eased me into it, and I'm doing really well with it right now. And they've allowed me to kind of grow into my shoes and grow as a leader and as a person and as a player on the field.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Kyle, certainly beating Clemson last time gives you guys some confidence going into this game, but the defense gave up a lot of passing yards. I'm just curious, does the secondary have a chip on its shoulder going into this game, given how the last one kind of played out for you guys?
Right. I think so. We all know our ability. And like I said, we've gelled together this season, and I feel like we put together all of our abilities and our teamwork together. I feel like we're the best secondary in the country. It's just a matter of putting it together and following the game plan and not messing up and stuff like that. But those mistakes are going to happen. It just is a matter of how the secondary is going to bounce back. And, we want the game to come down to us. If it comes down to a passing game, then we want that, and we accept the challenge.
We'll go next to Lou Emoji.
Kyle, with Coach Lee leaving for Vanderbilt, how was the reaction among all the defensive players? Obviously, he's had such an impact the last several years on the overall defensive unit. Is it one that was kind of expected, or is it one where it fuels more motivation to go out together, on a strong note? How was it all handled and broken by Coach Lee with you guys?
Everybody, including the offense. The offense was in the team meeting when we announced it to the team, but everybody was just super happy for him. He's a Nashville guy. He played there. It's kind of like a perfect storm, and it only makes sense. But, we all had our little moment, and we were really happy for him. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's still a defensive coordinator, and he told us that he's going to be our DC until the end of the year. So his focus hasn't been taken away at all. And, I even just got reminded that he was the head coach at Vanderbilt today. I kind of forgot. So, it's obvious that he's still focused on Indy and winning a championship here.
And we'll do another call for questions. If you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. And we will circle back to Tyler James.
Kyle, how do you feel like you played individually against Clemson, and where do you feel like you can improve upon that this time around?
Individually, I feel like I played okay. There's always room for improvement. I think I'm probably my biggest critic. I played all right. There's definitely a couple plays that I want back. But, I mean, I'm going to be able to get the chance this weekend. So hopefully I can capitalize on those and kind of make up for my mistakes in the last game. But honestly, defense as a whole, although we gave up 40 points, I would think we made big stops when we were needed to after turnovers and then the second overtime. So I think defense as a whole played well. And I think we're going to build on that this weekend.
We'll go next to Angela DiCarlo.
Kyle, just wanted to follow up on Clark Lee. What is it about him that makes you feel he'll be a great head coach?
I think Coach Lee is the definition of a player's coach. He's kind of like your dad away from home. Honestly, he's there for you emotionally, like no other coach I've ever been around. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, whatever time in the building, at home, I think he's always available for you. And his door is always open for you to come in and express any anger, any happiness, anything, and he's open to that. And I feel like as a player, that really helps me be comfortable in the building and around the coaches and stuff like that. So I think he's great at creating an environment and a culture where everybody cares about each other, and I think he's going to do really well at Vanderbilt.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Kyle, two things. One, Coach Kelly mentioned that in facing Uiagalelei, you didn't know nearly as much about his game. Do you feel like you're pretty well zeroed in on what Lawrence does? And secondly, his running ability, his play action fakes are great. His read option fakes are outstanding. What does that add to your plate with his ability to run?
I mean, he's a underrated runner. He's a really, really fast, tall guy. But I think our defense has a really good plan set up in place, and I feel like if we all do our jobs, we can keep him bottled up. And I mean, he has great legs along with a great arm. So I think we all have to be disciplined and do our jobs. And if we do that, then I think we'll be all right.
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
I wanted to double back on Coach Joseph in terms of your relationship with him. Like, how is his personality maybe a little different from Coach Lee, and how is your relationship with him maybe different with some of the other coaches?
I would say Coach Lee compared to Coach Joseph. Coach Lee is more of a cerebral and not emotional, but like he cares a lot, kind of about the deeper person, stuff like that. I feel like Coach Joseph, on the other hand, is like more technical, and he's a really smart guy and pretty much knows everything that's going on within the defense. He's taught me a lot more than I have ever known coming into Notre Dame, and he's only going to continue to do that. So I feel like he's just a great teacher and does a great job at giving us information that he already has.
And we will wrap it up with Patrick Engel.
Hey, Kyle, following up on that, I'm sure you've worked with plenty of good coaches both here and in high school, but what makes a good teacher, and specifically what's made Coach Joseph an effective teacher for you and being able to build a relationship with him as well?
I think he does a good job of keeping it simple and telling us what we need to know. And he tells us all this information, but he always talks about, at the end of the day, just go make a play. He knows we're all good football players. And if we just trust our instincts and see what we believe and believe what we see, we're going to do well. And he instills that confidence in us, and kind of it's hard on us Monday through Friday, but on Saturday just kind of lets it rip. So it's always good to have that guy on the sideline that you can come back to and just know is going to be supportive and understand the situation you're in and still have information to give you to be a better player. So I think that's what makes him a good teacher.
All right, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Kyle.
Yep. Everybody knows.
We will go ahead and continue with Dalen Hayes. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and use the raise hand function. Dalen, your first question will be from John Finneran.
Before we get started, can I address one thing?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to address Kyle in the Trevor with great legs comment. Just, great legs, great hair, great arms. Just following up on that, just want to throw that out there if anybody would care. All right, let's get started.
Thank you very much, Dalen.
Okay. Well, that will explain why he cracked up in his conversation. So, Dalen, if you would, you've played against Trevor Lawrence, have you not? Did you play it in the Cotton Bowl game?
Yes, sir.
What does he bring to the table that maybe DJ did not bring, and what do you need to be aware of with him in the game?
I think the first thing is, experience. He's a proven winner. He's played in a lot of big games. So that calm, that cool, even though DJ, he exhibited a lot of that, but Trevor's just been in a lot of big games. So just that experience, you can't really put a price on that experience. The other thing is that Trevor can run the ball. Trevor runs the ball. He's deceptively fast. Like he's faster than I remember back in 2018. We left that game thinking like he was faster than we anticipated. So, his running ability and then his experience and decision making back there, I think, is going to be the biggest difference.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Dalen, having played Clemson's offensive line before, how much have you been able to learn sort of things you could take advantage of potentially in one-on-one matchups from actually having the game reps against those guys versus just the typical film study that you'll have against opponents?
Yeah, like I said earlier, you can't put a price on experience. So just kind of going back and just rewatching the moves that worked, things that didn't work. Just having a full game study of reps to, having gone against these guys about 6 weeks ago. So that's awesome. So being able to have that and, just kind of bringing in new things that you think will give you an upper hand. So
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Dalen, I wanted to ask you about sort of the physical mentality of the defensive line. I don't know if you go into a game plan thinking we're going to wear down an offensive line, but if you do, was the first Clemson game sort of a good example of that, where if you over the course of 50, 60, 70 plays, you can sort of see an offensive line wear down because of your physicality?
Yeah, our physicality, our box is as physical as any box in the country, our 7-man box. And then also with our D-line, our rallying. So, just being able to throw fresh guys at an offensive line, new drive, rally halfway through the drive, those fresh legs and, obviously our defensive line and our boxing as general is super physical. So over the course of the game, that really takes its toll. So, having those fresh legs coming at an offensive line, and then, obviously our mentality to be one of the most, if not the most physical box in the country.
We'll go next to Angelo DiCarlo.
Dalen, wanted to ask you about Clark Lee. What was your reaction when you heard he got the head coaching job at Vanderbilt? What it means to you guys that he's sticking around for the rest of the season, and why you feel he'll be a great head coach?
It was, when we found out, we were super excited. I don't know if you guys saw, our whole team, was super excited for Coach. We were embracing that opportunity for him. But, like anything, our brotherhood, the investment that we have in our brotherhood, that comes from our coaches. So, if anybody's as invested in these next few weeks, it's Coach Lee, because, he's put so much time and effort into this, and, he's given so much to us. So we're excited for him, but at the same time, we're setting that aside and getting ready for this 3-game home stretch to finish off the season the right way. So, and why do I feel like Coach Lee would be a great head coach is similar to what Kyle said. He's a player's coach. You talk about when you're building culture, winning culture, and that trust that you have to have from your players into your coaches. You have to know that they care. And that they're willing to, go the extra mile for you. And that's something that Coach Lee has done for us day in and day out, whether it be having one-on-one meetings, whether it be him doing sprinting in our pursuit drills with us, just making it fun and making it a real family atmosphere for our defense, really gives guys an opportunity to really buy in and trust what Coach is saying, and trust that he cares about you off the field. So I think that him bringing that culture to Vanderbilt will will only strengthen that program. So.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Dalen, I was wondering if you could comment on the progress of Foskey this whole season, and also recently of Ovi Ogofu, who has been flashing a little bit more now. We saw him making plays when he made his move to Rush Andler or to Viper last year, but it seems like he's been making more plays of late and getting more scrimmage time.
What do you want me to answer about that? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You want me to talk about his development?
Yeah, Ovi and also Foskey. Foskey, as we've seen all year, and Ovi seems to be of late. He's really getting more time with you guys up front.
I got you. Yeah. No, the guys are, like I said, man, working hard, and we got a lot of rallying opportunities. So guys are getting more time on the field and whatnot. But guys are taking steps. They're getting older, so it's awesome to see.
We'll go next to Gene Wojciechowski.
Hey, Dalen, there comes a point in every program's progression, and it happened to Clemson 5, 6, 7 years ago, where they sort of planted the flag in the national consciousness. They announced that they were there. Is this game this Saturday an opportunity for this Notre Dame team and program to do the same sort of thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll do one last call for questions. Please use the raise hand function if you do have a question. We will circle back to Tyler James.
Hey, Dalen, how would you evaluate your play against Clemson last time, and how has the defense as a whole sort of treated that performance and used that to propel itself for this game?
Going back with that, you just want to go back in any plays that you missed or you wish you had back. Like, you really just want to go back and fine tune those things, and just clean them up. And obviously double down on the things that you did well, but really go back and clean up the things that that you might have missed, or maybe a misfit, or just anything like that. So just doubling down on those things. And then as a defense as a whole, we just got to bring that physicality that we had last game. I think that was the difference. For us was really just the winning line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So, like I said, just doubling down on the things that we did well, but also being conscious and intentional about fixing the things that you missed. So.
And we will wrap it up this afternoon with Lou Samoji.
Dalen, that first win, as it was alluded to against Clemson, biggest win maybe at Notre Dame in 27 years. It really puts you guys into that playoff conversation, and that Notre Dame is for real. Yet so much of the talking points since then have been, well, they were without Trevor Lawrence. They were without 3 defensive starters and all. Do you feel that there's still a lot of motivation here to prove that this team belongs right up there with Clemson?
When we talk about these narratives, guys, at the end of the day, it's not real. All these speculations about this, that, none of that is real. At the end of the day, you got to go play ball. And your ball is going to speak for itself. Playing ball the right way, the brand of football that we love to play, that's gonna put us where we need to be. And as long as we stay focused on that, and we go out and play hard, and we play to the standard of the brotherhood, then the narrative and the stories and the this and the that, the perspectives, that'll all take care of itself.
All right, and we will wrap it up with you there, Dalen. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Shake it.
We'll go ahead and continue this afternoon with Kyren Williams. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. Kyren, your first question will be from Patrick Engel.
Hey, Kyren, I'm sure you guys are just looking at this as, another big game and big moment and whatnot, but has it kind of sunk in for you at all that it's the week of the ACC championship game and that it's just this thing that when you're coming to Notre Dame or even a year ago, that's just not even on your mind as a possibility because you're not in the league normally?
Yeah, for sure. It's different going into a conference championship week like we are right now. But as you said earlier, we know that this game is part of the 3 games that we need. So we're just going to keep working as a whole team and as an offense to keep getting better so we can come out there on Saturday and just play to the best of our abilities on every play.
As a reminder, please use the raise hand function if you do have a question for Kyren. We'll go next to John Finneran.
Hi, Kyren. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the changes in the offensive line and how the new guys have stepped up and how you've adjusted to that.
So as we all know, our Jared Patterson, he's out for the season. So now Josh Lugg is in there, and just throughout the 2 weeks and throughout practice, Josh has been showing up and proving himself every single day. He's out there working hard, asking questions, and doing everything that he needs to do to so that he can play to his best ability on Saturday. So, like I said, past interviews, I trust any man who is on that O-line, and I know they're gonna do whatever they got to do to get the job done. So, I got 100% trust in Lug, and I know he can get the job done.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Kyren, I'm curious what you've learned from maybe sort of observing how Ian Book has handled everything as Notre Dame's starting quarterback through your time here at Notre Dame.
I mean, he just mature with everything. He doesn't ever get too high or get too low. He's always even keel with everything. So that's what I've noticed with Ian. He's always consistent no matter what it is. He shows up every day, and I know what I'm gonna get from him. So as my quarterback, I know I love that and trust that every single day that Ian's gonna come play to the best of his ability every single time, no matter if it's a practice or a game. And I know that he's gonna make sure that I do the same. So that's kind of level we're on.
We'll do one more call for questions. Please use the raise hand function if you do have a question for Kyren. We'll go next to Angelo DiCarlo.
Kyren, how important do you feel establishing the run is in this game as something that you guys have done so much? Obviously, sometimes in big games, passing can be a big factor, but you guys have developed an identity with the run game. How critical do you feel you guys getting the run game going will be to the success on Saturday?
I feel like just doing what we normally do, what we do best, like you said, run the ball and pass the ball. So I feel like we established that run game early, that it's going to open a lot more coverage for our wide receivers to get open and more big plays down the field. So we know as an offense that no matter what it is, we have to establish the run by any means. So we're going to get that done so we can open up more plays downfield.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Kyren, kind of lost in the memory of the double overtime victory was that you guys went a pretty long period of time without being able to score. You moved it, got in the red zone, didn't score. What do you need to do this time around to avoid that scoring lull?
We just got to be consistent, play the brand of football that we know how to play and execute to have high levels and make no mistakes. So we know coming into the game what we got to do, and we're going to do what we got to do.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Kyren, I'm sure you guys expect some changes, obviously, from Clemson's defense coming to this one. Do you prepare by watching more of other Clemson games, or was it still pretty much where you want to look at their personnel and how you handled them in the matchup back in November?
No, I'm not really looking at when we played them last, because obviously, like you said, there's going to be changes. So I'm looking up until to the last time we played them, November 7th on. So I'm seeing what they did after they lost to us, seeing what they changed, see what they new personnel, who else is playing. So I'm just looking up at the past few games, see what they're talking about. Yeah.
We'll do one more. Any more questions for Kyren? All right, looks like you're good to go, Kyren. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and continue this afternoon with Javon McKinley. So if you have a question for Javon, please use the raise hand function. And Javon, your first question will be from John Finneran.
Hi, Javon. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the camaraderie that you've the last couple of weeks that you've seemed to have enjoyed with Ian Book, and how that has meshed, and how do you feel about the way he plays, and the little things that you are able to pick up between the two of you?
I love the way Ian Book plays. He's a forward-thinking guy. He never lets anything get to him, whether he messes up on a play or read, or other guys around him and offensively aren't succeeding where they need to be. He knows that we're going to step it up. We're going to have his back. He's going to have our back. And camaraderie just comes with success on the field in practice and in the games, having good completions and long ball, short game, working up the field, translating that into games that you guys have seen. That's what comes with the camaraderie, and then you see the love that comes with that on and off the field.
We'll go next to Lou Emoji.
Javon, was there any point at this season, maybe the Florida State game, where it all really began to come together for you, where you after the Florida State game, Coach Kelly really talked about how there's not anybody who can cover you. Was that a way to enhance your confidence, or was it just the process of what was going on through practices in August and September where it finally broke out? What was kind of like the tipping point for you as recognizing what an impact you can have?
I never really had a tipping point on realizing the impact I could have. I knew my capabilities. I knew my abilities. I knew I could play ball. And it was just a matter of game planning and opportunity of when I got to show that in the game. And FSU just was the game where I got to show in multiple facets of the passing game where I can be unguardable, as Coach Kelly said. And like I said, yeah, there's no tipping point where I realized that. I always knew I was capable of the plays that I have made, and hoping to continue to do the same thing.
We'll go next to Angelo DiCarlo.
Javon, wanted to follow up on Ian. Obviously the Clemson game, he had the fumble, and then he comes back and has that historic drive. Obviously you guys are so excited for the win for yourselves and for the program, but was a part of you really excited for Ian as well? All the talk that he was getting up to that point about his play to really showcase himself on that big stage and lead you guys on such a huge drive like that?
I can't really answer that question because I don't really pay attention to the media and what they say about us or any of the players. About the only thing I get is when my mom sends me something through text, and that's about it. I don't know what the media says about what we got going on.
We'll go next to Pat Forty.
Yeah, Javon, I just wanted to see if I heard
Sorry,
you right. 4 seasons. If I heard you right, that means.
You're breaking up a little bit. Can you start over?
Sure. Yeah, I thought you said that Ian Book is a 4-season guy. I wanted to make sure I heard right. And if, what do you mean?
I did not say 4 season. What? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. So he's a 4-season guy.
Okay, sorry.
Like a 4-year starter.
So I guess I misheard you. No
got that in him. I mean, if he wanted to come back, he'd be the starter still. That's 4 years. Yeah. I don't know if you do that. Don't take my word for it. But it's 4-year starter guy. Yeah.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Javon, I'm curious, how much was it bugging you that you hadn't caught a touchdown yet this season? How bummed were you when you dropped the one in the end zone with the sun in your eyes, apparently? And then how much do you think you maybe reminded folks of what you can do with those 3 touchdowns later in the game against Syracuse?
It was probably the most annoying thing I've ever experienced in my life, to have all the catches and receptions and yards and not to have scored. And a lot of my teammates, none of them even realized I hadn't scored. Ian didn't even know I hadn't scored a touchdown up until that point. And for the first one, with the sun in my eyes and dropping it, a lot of disappointment went through my mind. Also, my parents were like right there, and I was waiting for them to yell something too. Didn't hear none. But just to finally get a little taste of the end zone on the, I think, end of the first quarter or second quarter, and getting that first touchdown. Reminded me of the love and the feel I have for the game when you get in the end zone and you hear the crowd roaring with what little crowd we had, was still pretty loud. And then getting a few more, it was good to just showcase my ability and at least show it with me getting in the end zone rather than just around on the field. Yeah.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Javon, following up on a little earlier, is this, or going into this year, how much, if at all, faster or stronger or more physical did you feel? Or is it just kind of simply a situation where you had the opportunity and just kind of make sure you could grab hold of it?
I definitely feel a little faster, about the same strength, but it was more of an opportunity thing. I've probably been about similar weight, strength, speed since sophomore year, but being off the field and practice-wise being more consistent and proving that I can make plays on a consistent basis and allowing to do that in the game is where it came into me getting more playing time my senior year and then this year.
We'll do one more call for questions. If you do have questions, please go ahead and raise your hand. And to clarify, the phrase was forward thinking.
Forward thinking. Nice.
So Pat, if you would like to follow up, feel free.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, we will go ahead and wrap it up there with you, Javon. Thank you very much. We will go ahead and continue with Ian Book. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. Ian, your first question will be from Patrick Engel.
Ian, when you first started working with Coach Reese back when he came back here in 2017, I'm just a guy who was 4 years ago in the spot that you were in then. What surprised you perhaps or stood out to you about his abilities as a teacher and a coach, being at the young age he was and not that far removed out of college?
Yeah, a lot of things, but the main one was his memory. His memory is unbelievable. Just from right when he got here, he's played in this position. He's been in the spotlight, you know, the ups and downs of Notre Dame quarterback. And we'll watch film from day one and he'll say, hey, yeah, I threw a pass just like this in, you know, whatever year against Purdue at Purdue. And then he'll just go into the Exos and find it and play it immediately. And I think that just helps me learn, helps all the other quarterbacks learn, and just to see it visually. So his memory is unbelievable. And it just makes it that much easier to learn. And he's smart. He can go find it on the computer immediately, pull it up. Good plays, bad plays, and he doesn't forget anything. And I'll throw a certain throw and they'll say, oh yeah, it's just like the throw in 18 against Stanford, blah, blah, blah. And boom, it resonates with me. So helps me learn a ton.
We'll go next to John Finneran.
Hi, Ian. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the relationship you've developed with Javon this season on the field and off. And also, I seem to recall you had, Trevor Lawrence. Could you take us back and talk a little bit about that relationship you have?
Yeah, first one was with Javon. Unbelievable. I'm glad he's having, the year he is having. Just from when we first got out here, he's actually on my SWAT team, and we've been working hard this whole entire year on and off the field. And just to see everything paying off for him, it's unbelievable. And he's somebody that I rely on. I have a ton of confidence in. You guys have all seen that on Saturdays. A 50-50 ball, he's pretty good at going up there and get it. So, and he's unbelievable at run blocking. A lot of people, see that if you go take a dive into the film, and that helps our teams spring some long runs. And he's just a team player. He's working hard. He's a quiet, confident kid, and he's just fun to be out there with. And he's always joking around, has a smile, and he's really fun to play with. And secondly, with Trevor Lawrence, I met him at the Manning Passing Academy last year, and just a really, really good guy. And we both had to coach 7-on-7 teams down there, and we ended up playing each other, and it was just fun. I got to know him a little bit, and obviously really, really good quarterback and even better person. So I'm happy for all his success. I'm happy to, have a rematch against Clemson with him playing. So just excited for him. Really good guy. He'll play for a long time.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Ian, your first college rematch, and I asked Kyren Williams about this too. How do you approach film study? How much of it is Clemson last time? How much of it is knowing that Brent Venables obviously won't be doing the same thing against you this time?
Yeah. It's cool. It's just having a rematch. And it just comes down to the small details. And like I've said before, it's like a chess match when you dive into it, especially on third down. And it's really fun. What are they going to do again? What are they going to do different? What areas of the field do we want to, attack and stuff like that? So it's really, really fun just hitting the film room with everybody. And it comes down to the small details. And that's how you win these rematch games.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Ian, how differently do you expect Clemson's defense to look with getting some of their players back along the front seven? And one of the issues you guys had in the previous game against Clemson was in the red zone. How do you solve some of those issues? Did they give you guys different looks down there, or was it more of a matter of execution on your guys' end?
Yeah, it's about focusing on ourselves and executing. They're a great team, obviously have a great defense. They do a lot of things, and that's what they're known for. At the end of the day, it's about doing what we do and doing it the right way and just focusing one play at a time. And down in the red zone, we got down there doing it the right way, and we had a few mistakes. So it's on us to clean that up. It's on me for sure. So, it comes down to the small details, and especially in the red zone, just a laser focus down there. And we expect to see, the same thing. We also expect it's a rematch. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. We expect to see something we've never seen before. That's how you prepare for it. So just excited for that game.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Ian, Coach Kelly said the other day that the instinct of a young position coach like Coach Reese is to, grab the football and throw it around to show how it's done. Is that accurate? I mean, he's more of a teacher as opposed to grabbing a football and throwing it. And how would you describe him as a teacher?
What do you mean? What did Kelly mean by grabbing the football?
Well, that, like instead of, like he was just recently playing quarterback a couple years ago for Notre Dame. So his instinct is to throw it around in practice to show you how it's done, as opposed to teaching you and talking you through it.
No, honestly, I mean, I agree, but like in film room, it comes down to, like as a quarterback, we say it all the time, like you're going to miss throws sometimes. There's not an answer to everything. It's sometimes, and he's not going to overcoach it. He's not going to change your motion. He's not going to talk about the throw as much. You're at Notre Dame, you should be able to make these throws. Let's talk about, how we can make that easier for you by understanding the coverage, pre-snap, and understand where to go and get your feet in the right place. So that's kind of what I would say with Coach Reese. He's not going to overcoach you too much, but yeah, he expects a lot. He expects a lot from me. He expects a lot from this quarterback room, and that's the way it should be. And it kind of lets the throwing, puts that on us, and he puts our eyes in the right spot, essentially, by going through film study throughout the week.
And next we have a question via the chat from John Bryce. He's asking, do you have the same ability as Coach Reese to recall the throws that you've made, and what are the benefits of that if you do have it as the game unfolds?
Yeah, I try all the time, and we talk about it a lot. I think that's a huge part of the quarterback game, is being able to recall certain plays and visually see them. And I do it a lot with him. I try to keep working on it. It's something I practice. He's better than me at it. I'll give him credit, where it's due. His memory is unbelievable, but I work on it all the time, and he tells me how important it is to have that memory and be able to go back a few years and understand plays and talk about it and remember those plays. He's told me before, just go back and watch random games. It's good for you as a quarterback. So I work on it all the time.
We'll go next to Angelo DiCarlo.
Ian, obviously the post game of the last game against Clemson was probably the feeling as good as it gets. Do you think a win Saturday can match that feeling?
No doubt. It's just another game. we need 3 more games to get to our main goal. And the one, in the middle of the season, I said the same thing. So it'll feel unbelievable. And obviously we won't have the fans to storm the field like that, but just it's an unbelievable memory. And this one, means even more, to another step to our main goal. So it'll feel just as good.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Ian, we sort of talked about your development with the chemistry with your receivers throughout the year with dealing with some new guys this year you hadn't been playing with in previous seasons. I'm curious, is the 50-50 ball maybe sort of the last step to that? I know we've seen Javon make a number of nice catches like in those situations, and Ben Skoranek make catches like that, and even Avery Davis. Was that sort of maybe the last evolution for you guys to sort of continue elevating your game?
Yeah. It's kind of like the last and kind of like the first, because when you get out there and there's a certain peer progression, and then you understand you got a one-on-one matchup, that's where you want to go first. You know what I mean? So in terms of chemistry, like, you can go through the read and you might get someone else, but if you got a one-on-one matchup who you believe in, that it can start there. It just depends on the play. So, but we've been working on that for a long, long time. And I think we started to pick that up throughout the season. And I got a lot of confidence in a lot of guys to go make plays one-on-one. So we've just been putting in a ton of work. I'm not sure if it's the last thing or the first thing. It kind of just happens over time when you just, consistently work on chemistry and certain routes and timing.
We'll go next to John Finneran.
Ian, 2 questions. First, who won that 7-on-7 game between you and Trevor at Manning? And second, what quarterbacks did you like to watch when you were growing up in California?
I think he might have won. I'm not sure. Feels like so long ago. They had a good team. He actually had little Manning, Eli Manning's Archie Manning, right? Yeah, Archie Manning's son on the team. So that guy was slinging it around. So he was pretty good. I believe they won the game. It was pretty good. It was a fun game, competitive. And secondly, growing up, I had some favorite college quarterbacks. I love watching Johnny Manziel. I loved watching Baker Mayfield. Those were the college guys I loved watching. And then in the NFL, it's been Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray now, and Aaron Rodgers. I love watching Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the best, thrower out there. He can do a lot of things with his arm angles, and he's just so fun to watch. So I've been watching all those guys since I've been growing up. Like watching a lot of those guys that are right around the same height as me and playing, same type of football. So it's fun to watch.
We'll go next to Gene Wojciechowski.
Hey, Ian, this is just piggybacking off of one of your earlier answers. In the arc of a program success, there's always a game or two where a program makes a statement nationally. How is this game Saturday a way for you guys to take that next step in the national consciousness?
Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of Notre Dame to begin with. And I think, we've had November 7th, circled on our schedule for a long time when we first were going to play Clemson, and not many people thought we'd win that game. We heard the outside noise, and we were able to get that win and prove ourselves right. And that's kind of what we do. It's all about the guys in our room. We're proving them right. We don't really worry about everybody else, but there was a lot of doubters, and it felt good to get that win and just believe in each other. This whole team believed that we could win before that game even started. And that's what it's about. And I think this game would just be the same thing. People are probably saying a lot of things about their players being gone and now they're back. There's no way. And it's just about what we do here at Notre Dame every day in the Goog and on this field and putting in work. It's about us. And we believe we can do it, and that's what matters.
And we will wrap it up with you with loose emoji.
Ian, Coach Sweeney mentioned that what hurt most was your scrambling ability, your escape ability. And he said that is coached so well. Can you talk and expand about how scrambling it can be coached well as well? And also, were you aware of just the blocking and the blitz pickup that Kyren Williams had with all the blitzes that Clemson was throwing last time, and the way you were able to repeatedly maneuver away from them?
Yeah. First part, was the coaching about scrambling. Yeah, I mean, we talk about there's a fine line of when I should scramble and when I can, and they kind of let me decide that and just kind of naturally do it. And that's just been my game for a long time. And I got to understand when the right time to leave and when the right time to stay in the pocket is. That's on me. And it's a fine line that I've been working on my whole entire career here at Notre Dame. And sometimes, the pocket opens up, I can go get the first and we can move the chains. And that's what it's about. Sometimes I got to stay back there and stay in there for another second and deliver the ball. And that's what it's about. So we talk about it a lot with Coach Reese. He never tells me how to run and when to do it, but he tells me, there's times to stay in there, there's times to not. It's just about understanding the situation and having a better football IQ. And the second question, Kyren, yeah, I was very aware. I couldn't be more aware. I've watched that game a ton, and it just it's a confidence builder. I mean, he did an unbelievable job, and that just makes me feel that much more comfortable back there. I mean, he's picking up blocks on my blind side that I can't even see. The guy linebackers running in there at 100 miles an hour, and he's sticking his head in there. And that's what it's about, because those aren't the glamorous plays that he'll get credit for, but he should, because it's hard. Blocking as a running back is really difficult, and we need him. And it just feels so good to have somebody like that doing that. And I believe all our running backs can do that. So I'm very aware, and I watch it as we watch the film throughout the whole entire week, and I expect him to do it again. I know he will. And he's just a fun guy to have in the backfield, let me tell you.
All right, and we will wrap it up with you there. Thank you very much, Ian.
Thanks.
And we'll continue in a few moments with Robert Hainsey. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Hey guys.
All right, and we will continue with number 12, Robert Hainsey. Your first question will be from John Finneran.
Hey, Robert, I wonder if you could talk about the camaraderie that exists on the offensive line, particularly the last couple of weeks when you've had to replace Patterson and play without Tommy Kramer, and the guys who have stepped up, and how much confidence that gives you going into this Saturday game.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line's been an extremely close unit ever since I've been here, and I've been honored to be able to try to carry that tradition and leave the younger guys with it. It's always been that way. We're the guys that we're always together. The COVID pandemic has kind of slowed that a little bit, and it actually has been kind of sad. We haven't gotten to hang out together as much and do like our weekly pizza nights on game weeks like we always did. So, but it does make the time in the Goog a little bit more special. So when we have to be here and we're getting to work, we're really getting to work. And that's something I've noticed this year, is just how we've all been working together so well and planning for these games so well, and just really truly seeing everything through one set of eyes. And it feels so bad for Jarrett. I mean, I was there last year. I know exactly how he feels, and being on the other side of it now, it's funny because I remember last year just having watching the guys step up and being so proud of them, and now being in there with Lug as he's stepping up and playing with Zeke at center when Tommy couldn't play either, and just the way it's been going around, or the way we've been moving around and throwing guys in there, it's just been awesome to see those guys step up, and I have the utmost confidence in anyone we're going to put in there.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Robert, I asked this question in the in-book as well. Just wondering, now that it's a rematch situation and your film study of Clemson, how much does it change? Because you can't only watch Clemson film from your game, obviously. How far back are you going? Are you focusing on what's happened since?
We're preparing it like any other game. You look at our game, and you certainly look most at our game, because we knew that for that game, they were going to give us everything they had. So there's only so much they can do off of that. And they're going to give us things we haven't seen, and we'll end up giving them things they haven't seen. It's the way football is. But I think the biggest thing we look at, we look at what we can do. Like, where was my technique? Where can that get better? Where can I get my hands tighter? Where can I get my foot gaining ground more? Stuff like that. That's what's going to make the difference for us. I trust the plan the coaches are going to give us as to what Clemson's going to do. It's not our job to figure out how they're going to run their defense, but I know they're going to give us a plan to execute. So it's our job to execute that plan to the best of our ability with our technique and fundamentals. That's what I'm looking at.
We'll go next to Lou Samoji.
Robert, there's such a major role reversal. 2 years ago, you were a true freshman in the playoffs, starting against a Clemson defensive line that had 3 players taken in the top 17 in the draft, and that's not even including an Isaiah Simmons. This year, you guys are the veterans up front along the offensive line, and they're a little bit younger there too. Is that something that, I mean, you could feel going into that game on November 7th and the same one this year, where the main onus is on you guys to take control of the line because of your experience? And can you talk about the difference from that 2018 game mentally for you as compared to this year?
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. You know, that was my sophomore year, Tommy's sophomore year, Liam Banks. We were all sophomores. Well, Tommy and Liam were redshirt sophomores. Me and Banks were true sophomores, and then we had Sam in there as a 5th-year anchor in us. And you know, it's just it was different. We were winning games, but I look back at that year and I look at how we were playing, and then I look at how we played this year, just individually, technique and stuff like that. Because obviously we won a lot of games that year, but I just feel like we've all improved so much. And with improvement comes confidence, and the confidence we have. I mean, me, Tommy, Liam, and Banks have played a lot of games together, and you know, Jarrett did, and same with Jarrett, and Luggs played a lot of games, and you know, getting Zeke in there, he's doing a great job. So, I think to see those guys all step up, I think the confidence that we have is greater than not to say we weren't confident in 2018, but I think being veterans, you know, it's just we're so much more used to that stage and that spotlight. And I also want to say, I think it was you who just asked Ian the question about Kyren stepping up in pass protection. And I wanted to say that was an awesome question, because not many people see that stuff, and it made me happy to know that someone actually knows how to pay attention to a running back stepping up and blocking the pass game, because that's what we see. So thank you for that.
We'll do one more call for questions. Please use the raise hand function. We will go next to Tim O'Malley.
Hey, Robert, sorry, I meant to ask this last time. Did you ever consider coming back for that free 5th year? I saw your Senior Bowl invitation, of course, means you're looking to move on to the next level. But is that something as a senior 4-year starter, when you heard about it, did you think it was, other than like a good fallback if you got injured, was it just something like, hey, I might come back and play a 5th year at Notre Dame, an actual full 5th year?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of whatever. It's not something I put a whole lot of thought in, just because it wasn't the most important thing at the time, and still isn't. And I guess it's still there if I need it. So, but I'm just, you know, one day at a time, one game at a time. I never really got a chance to put a whole lot of thought into it. So
we'll go next to Angelo DiCarlo.
Robert, obviously Clemson's getting some players back on the defensive side. As you look at this matchup the second time around, you know, maybe how much tougher it will be versus them, and how critical it is to once again win the battle of the trenches. I think Dabo said, you know, they got their butts kicked the first time around. How important is that again for you guys to kind of dominate in that area like you did the first game?
Yeah, I mean, they had good players the first game. They have good players this game. They're getting a couple of guys back, you know, 47-6, and on the offense side, they're getting a few guys too, but 13. But at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, it's a front 7 game. These kind of games, you know, we get 2 teams, similar styles, both good teams. We have to win that battle up front. It's a must. And we did a great job the first game, and we're looking to see what we can do better. And that's what we've been focusing on. How much better can we do going into this next game? And it's just every day, just focus on one thing we can do a little bit better. And by the time we get to Saturday, we'll be ready to play them again.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Hey, Robert, I don't recall if you've taken any center reps before, but I'm curious if you can describe what Josh Lugg has been able to do. And last year, filling in for you at right tackle, playing guard and playing center, how he's able to sort of handle all that and what that says about him.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has been an incredible asset. You know, he'll step up wherever is needed, and it's been when I got hurt last year, watched him step in and play for me. And, you know, just he said he was so happy with the way he played, and he was so grateful for me to how much I was able to help him. And I was blown away with how well he's done, and he's done so much and handled so much adversity through these last 4 years. And no matter what you throw at him, he's gonna take it on the chin and move on. So like him playing center this year, it's just another thing for him. You know, he played guard, he can play tackle, wherever you need him, you know, he's going to be there and you know, he's going to do well. So it's an incredible honor on his name to be that guy that we can put anywhere. I'm just very, very proud of him and love playing with him. And he's been a great friend. Just the way he's handled these things. It's incredibly impressive.
All right. And we'll do one last call for questions. And we will wrap it up with Tyler James.
Wanted to follow up on the sad cancellation of pizza night. Did you guys try to do that virtually? You guys still eat pizza on pizza night? How have you developed any new tradition since you haven't been able to do that?
No, I mean, like, it's kind of just everyone has to do their own thing. You know, I have gotten pizzas. I did get a lot of pizzas on Thursdays this season just because it's kind of habit and there's one night to just relax. But no, we didn't do it virtually. We tried to do it in the Goog the first night, spread out in the auditorium. It just wasn't the same. So, you know, it is what it is. But it's been, like I said, it's been good. We've gotten closer in other areas, so that's been nice.
All right, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thanks, guys.